Have you ever wondered if the echoes of war can transcend time, lingering in the very soil where lives were lost? Gettysburg is more than a historical landmark. It's a graveyard of forgotten dreams and restless spirits. But what if these spirits refuse to stay silent? Join me as I uncover the hidden, chilling truths buried beneath Gettysburg's blood-soaked fields. Sam Carter wasn't the type to entertain ghost stories. He was a historian, proud of his knowledge of Gettysburg, and considered it his mission to educate tourists about the facts of the famous Civil War battle. But there was one thing Sam never shared during his tours: what he had seen when he ventured into the battlefield alone at night. Claire Donovan was different from the typical tourist. A sharp journalist with a reputation for debunking urban legends, she was in Gettysburg to explore the supposed hauntings that had captivated so many. "So, Sam," she said, walking beside him on a cool evening tour, "what's the most unnerving thing you've experienced out here?" Sam hesitated, glancing at the group of visitors before leaning closer to Claire. "The scariest thing? It's not the ghosts," he said quietly. "It's the moments before they appear. The silence. The way the air changes." Claire smirked. "Let me guess, cold spots and whispers." Sam didn't answer. Instead, he led the group to a cluster of trees near Cemetery Hill, explaining the strategic importance of the site during the battle. But his words faltered as a sudden chill crept over the group. The warm summer air turned icy, and the faint scent of gunpowder seemed to hang in the breeze. Claire wandered a few steps away, her attention caught by a strange shimmer on the horizon. It was faint, like a mirage, but unmistakably human. A figure stood there, motionless, watching. She blinked, and it was gone. "You okay?" Sam's voice startled her. She shook her head. "Probably just tired. Long day." But as the group moved on, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. The Jennie Wade House was quaint by day, its bullet-scarred walls a testament to the young woman who had been the battle's only civilian casualty. But by night, the house took on a menacing air, as though its wooden beams absorbed the tragedy of that fateful day. "Jennie was just trying to bake bread for the soldiers," Sam explained as they entered the dimly lit kitchen. "The bullet that killed her wasn't even meant for her." Claire ran her fingers along the hole in the wall where the bullet had passed through. "Do you believe she's still here?" she asked. Sam hesitated. "I've seen things," he admitted. "Once, I was locking up after a tour when I heard footsteps upstairs. No one else was in the house." Claire grinned. "Sounds like a good story to scare tourists." But her confidence wavered as the night wore on. The house seemed alive with whispers, faint and indistinct, but impossible to ignore. Around midnight, Claire set up her camera in the bedroom where Jennie was said to appear. As the hours ticked by, the room grew colder. The mirror on the dresser fogged up as though someone was standing before it. Then, out of the silence, came a soft, heart-wrenching sob. Claire froze, her breath hitching. When she approached the mirror, she found a single word scrawled in the fog: why? The Devil's Den was a place of blood and chaos during the battle. Soldiers had fought and died among its jagged rocks, and many believed their spirits never left. Sam and Claire arrived under a full moon, the rocks casting long shadows that seemed to shift when no one was looking. Legend has it, Sam began, that a Confederate soldier named Eli Jones haunts this place. He died here, still clutching his rifle, and some say he's still fighting the battle. Claire rolled her eyes. Let me guess, people see him and hear phantom gunfire. Sam didn't respond, his eyes scanning the darkness. They climbed over the rocks, Claire's camera capturing the eerie silence. Then, out of nowhere, came the sound of boots crunching on gravel behind them. "Did you hear that?" Claire whispered, her bravado slipping. Sam nodded. "Stay close." The footsteps grew louder, circling him, though no one was there. Claire's camera, which had been recording steadily, suddenly shut off. She fumbled to restart it, her hands trembling. When the playback began, her heart stopped. The screen showed a shadowy figure standing behind her, its hollow eyes staring into the lens. "Let's go," Sam said urgently, grabbing her arm. But as they left the den, Claire couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. The Gettysburg orphanage was notorious among locals. Built to house children orphaned by the war, it had become a place of unspeakable cruelty under the rule of matron Agatha Bell. Sam and Claire entered cautiously, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. The walls were etched with crude carvings, names, dates, and desperate messages scratched by small hands. In the basement, they found what locals called the punishment room. The air was heavy, the shadows oppressive. "This is where Agatha locked the children," Sam said. His voice was barely above a whisper. Claire knelt to examine the floor, her flashlight illuminating claw marks in the wood. Her stomach churned. "They tried to escape," she murmured. As she stood, the door slammed shut behind her. Sam shouted from the other side, but his voice was muffled. Claire's flashlight flickered, and for a moment, she thought she saw faces, small, pale faces, staring at her from the corners of the room. "Please," a tiny voice whispered. "Don't let her take us." When the door finally opened, Claire stumbled out, her face pale. "This place isn't haunted," she said. "It's cursed." Deep in the woods, Sam led Claire to an unmarked stone hidden among the trees. Local legend claimed it had been used as an operating table during the battle, and those who touched it were said to experience the agony of the soldiers who had died there. Sam hesitated. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Claire nodded, though her hands trembled. She knelt beside the stone, running her fingers over its cold surface. Almost immediately, a jolt of pain shot through her arm. Her vision blurred, and images flooded her mind: soldiers writhing in agony, blood pooling on the ground, desperate cries for help. When she came to, Sam was shaking her. "You were screaming," he said, his voice trembling. Claire looked at the stone, now marked with strange symbols that hadn't been there before. "This isn't just history," she whispered. "It's something far worse." Back at her hotel, Claire reviewed the footage. Strange glitches marred every file. Faces appeared where there were none, and faint voices whispered beneath her narration. "Do you think they'll ever leave?" she asked Sam. He shook his head. "Gettysburg isn't just haunted, Claire. It's alive. And it remembers everything." As she uploaded the video to her channel, Claire couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. "What do you think? Could Gettysburg's spirits still roam the battlefield, the orphanage, and the den? Leave your theories in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.